Today, I'd like to talk about Swords. Some say Swords is the real capital of Dublin, and others say Swords is Blanchardstown's posh little cousin. Apparently 40,000 people live in Swords. But who are these people? Why doesn't anyone know them in real life? The Pavilion shopping centre is genetically imprinted into the minds of Swords natives at birth. Their primary caregiver is the shopping centre, which is why people from Swords don't feel close to their families. They pin their hopes and dreams on this decaying relic of consumerism, where they hang around outside the McDonald's until the high-pitched ringing noise starts and the security guard moves them along. The shopping centre is where the Swords Indians go to laugh, to celebrate and to cry when they're feeling undermined by worldly problems, like not fitting into the ecosystem of Malahide. If you ever want to find out for once and for all if you're in the presence of a Swords Indian, there are a few telltale signs. The young males of Swords are all aspiring SoundCloud rappers who pretend to like UK drill music and start shouting "Yup Swords" anytime they go outside the Swordsian border. This is their battle cry, their call to arms that rouses other Swords natives in the area out of their slumber. The females of Swords all have similar hand tattoos, alongside owning similar Instagram pages of similar makeup tutorials. But perhaps the most telling giveaway in Swords detection is that some people from Swords develop a life-threatening illness. Is it the coronavirus? What? No! It's a disease where you never stop talking about how you're from Swords. Swords is the takeaway capital of the world. There's a takeaway to human ratio of 2 to 1, so for every person in Swords, there's 2 takeaways. Swords is part of the district called Fingal County, but nobody's ever mentioned Fingal County in a sentence unless they were talking about fixing a roundabout, or unless they were talking about Fingal County. Swords is steeped in history, but perhaps the most ancient battle of them all is the battle for the Jackal. The Jackal is now a park, but it used to be a sanctuary full of mystical creatures such as the chieftain of Swords, Bill Cullen. Bill Cullen gathered his riches by dousing himself in war paint and charging people €3 each to enter the Jackal while beating on a drum with a sock full of wet cement just before jumping into a helicopter to give a motivational talk to a primary school down the country. The war between Swords Manor and River Valley has echoed through the Jackal for centuries, both seeming to claim the Jackal belongs to them. The Jackal has been the great divider of Swords, the enchanted land where battles are lost and bottles are broken. Someday the people of Swords Manor and River Valley will stop fighting over the Jackal and join forces to create a new Swordsian dynasty called Swalahide, a hybridisation of Malahide and Swords, and Malahide itself will move to the south side where it truly belongs. Everyone from Swords looks like they're getting ready to go to the airport. They all have a strange walk, like they just remembered they left their phone at home but are too proud to let anyone know they made a mistake. It takes so long to commute from the city centre to Swords that some people are still in a taxi trying to get home from when the clubs were open a year ago. This man is the ancient protector of Swords. His name is Martin, and he has more wisdom than all the TDs put together. Martin has ascended so high into the spiritual plane that fire can no longer burn him. Martin is a descendant of the royal family that lived in this castle, and he famously once found a claw on the ground, fashioned it into a blade, and then ran around the town wielding his weapon, saying, "Lads, don't stand around too long or you might get stung." This is where Swords got its name from. Swords is home to 2 Lidls and 2 Aldis, which makes Swords the middle aisle of County Dublin. JC's supermarket was once a bastion of hope from the roaring Celtic tiger. The Swordsian sense of self is inextricably linked with this supermarket. The JC has become a shadow of its former self when it was taken over by Dunnes Stores. The JC stands for Jesus Christ, but Jesus Christ, when Dunnes came along, no one stood up for Jesus. People often wonder what happened to the right venue. Some think the people of Swords rallied together and got rid of Rights because they were tired of drunk teenagers getting sick in their garden when the club shut down. But the truth is, Rights was actually a lab where the Swords natives were created and dispatched to the rest of Dublin. People started realising that you could never imagine what a Swords lad would do on a Tuesday night, and it was too much to think about, so Rights got shut down as a preventative measure. Despite the humble offerings of the mostly empty 41 bus, the true method of public transportation is the Swords Express. This is a road-bound teleportation device that transits Swords natives to places that are not in Swords. The reason it's called Swords Express is because it's free to get on, but the price you pay is you have to go up in front of the bus and express yourself, telling everyone your secrets and then sitting in the hour it takes to get into town, listening to your headphones while wondering if everyone thinks you're a freak. Namaste.